I'm here to say to the comrades and the people of Uganda, we are with them against the tyranny, because we cannot allow any regime in the world to kill people on the basis of identity. We are victims of identity politics. We were killed because we were black, and the only crime we committed was being black. Today, all those who have been killed in Uganda is because it's a community that belongs to LGBTQI+. As a result, they get killed because you woke up one day, you don't like them. How are you going to identify that a person is gay? What scientific method are you going to use that she's lesbian? All you're going to do is to look at a person and out of hatred decide this one is gay, this one is lesbian. It cannot be correct that you identify people on the basis of hatred and you kill them. So we are saying to Museveni, leave the people the way they are. It is not our problem. It is not your problem. It is not a problem. What if Museveni is lesbian or gay himself? What if Museveni is going to discover that much later? Because there are people who discover that even when they are older, that actually this is who I am. So we must not, because in his family there are people who belong to the gay community. Those will not be killed because they are his family. But those who are not his family, those who do not have political connection, those who are not from well-known families and business families, they are going to be killed not because they are gay, but because they are poor and cannot afford the political connection. Because that's how politics are. They use political connection to decide whether to persecute this person or not to persecute. So we are here to say to Uganda, as long as the LGBTQ plus community is not free in Uganda, we are not free. As long as the people in Palestine are not free, we are not free. As long as the people of Cuba cannot trade anyhow they want with anyone they want in the world because of the economic embargo imposed on them by imperialist America for more than 60 years, we are not free. As long as the people of Swaziland cannot choose who's going to lead them, but some king out of drunkenness decide who must be a prime minister in Swaziland, we are not free. We are free if the world is free, because we are part of the globe. If you take the globe in your house and look at it, once you break part of it, the whole globe will never be the same. It will be a broken globe. And once you break Swaziland, once you break Western Sahara, you must know that you have broken the world. The pain of the people of Uganda, it's our pain. The mothers and fathers who pretend to be on the side of the regime, they are just pretentious. No one can come to kill your child and you become supportive of such an individual. It doesn't matter how that child is behaving. There is nothing called corrective in rape. Rape is a rape. and therefore it must never be decorated with nice concepts to make it look good. There is no one who can sleep with all those people in Uganda in the name of correcting them, in the name of giving them a real man. A real man does not rape. A real man negotiate, and it becomes very nice when you negotiate. Easy come is not nice. Yeah? Ape usonju filo orkaru wa mushasha yo. Yeah, unore. Twara mo wer mu correct. You will never correct her. If anything, you are going to kill her. Because rape is murder. When you rape someone, you kill something in that person. And from that day, that person will never live a free life, because that trauma will permanently visit that person. So we are here to march against the rapists who are supported by Ugandan government. We are here to stand against murder. There is something called attempt homophobic life sentence. Attempt homophobic, what is that? How are you going to see that a person has attempted to be homophobic? You can hear there is barbarism, there is stupidity in the whole bill. And if Museveni knows what is good for him, he must not sign it into law. Already we have problems with Museveni according to how he's treating political opponents in Uganda. Bobi Wine can't move freely. His house has got soldiers outside. His family is being harassed, and a lot of his comrades are being imprisoned without trial, harassed for their political views in Uganda. As we are busy fighting for political freedoms of our comrades in Uganda, Museveni brings this bill that is anti-human, because gay rights are human rights. You can't say we are celebrating human rights in South Africa this month, yet there is another part of Africa which is not celebrating human rights. Comrades, Papa D mentioned something very important. When we go to Uganda, we don't need a visa. But when they come to South Africa, they need a visa. Yet we are one thing. When we say to you, we don't want borders, we don't mean access control and regulation of the people that are in this country. We simply mean there must not be visas amongst ourselves. So many countries in the world, a lot, come to South Africa without visa. But when we say the Ugandans must come to South Africa without visa, you xenophobic people say, no, we don't want them here. Yet there are countries of white people who come here without visa. Now, she's speaking about her going back home and then going to be arrested and perhaps even being killed. Yet you are just watching and doing nothing about it. She comes here to South Africa looking for safety, that I need to continue fighting for the rights of my people, but I must not die, so that this message can be heard all over the world. You say to her, go back to your home, even when there is all evidence before us that when she goes back home, she's going to be arrested, and because she has declared her identity, she will be killed if this bill is passed. You can't say an organization with an internationalist outlook allow a person to go back home to be killed. That is not what we're taught. International solidarity is what made us to be where we are now. The Release Mandela campaign was a call for black people and Africans in particular to have rights and to vote. In America, there were marches bigger than this to demand Mandela's release. In UK, there were marches bigger than this to demand Mandela's release. Mandela's release meant release of all political prisoners and freedom for all Africans. People all over the world fought for our freedom in what we called international solidarity. The people of Uganda are now saying to you, we ask for your solidarity because we are about to be butchered. And all who are asking for South Africa, let's stand firmly behind the people of Uganda, and through international solidarity, Museveni will not sign this bill into law. All organizations that are progressive all over the country and the world must write to Museveni directly and ask him not to sign this bill into law, because we support human rights, and this bill is going to violate the human rights. That's why you are here. Whether you love gays, whether you don't love them, as long as you love life and support human rights, you have to support them. You don't have to be in love with them. You ought to stand with the principle. And what is the principle? The principle is right to life. No one must take away a life of an individual or a community on the basis of their identity. That is a violation of what we stand for. What are rights? Rights is not what is given in the Constitution. Immediately when you are born with those rights. You were born with the right to life. Your birth gave you a right to life, not a politician. And once that right is given to you, not even a politician must be allowed to take that right away. It's not allowed. So, comrades, here today, you came out and said, we choose to be on the right side of life. We don't care who says what. We care about life. Worse, we care because we are the surviving victims of identity politics, where we were killed for being black and for being African. We salute you, comrades, for being brave and for standing firm with the LGBTQ plus community of Uganda. You are standing with them here. You are saying to the world and to Uganda, you must know those people you are about to kill, they are not alone. They've got friends in us, and even if you kill them, we are not your citizens. We will carry their struggle forward and continue to expose the hypocrisy of Museveni and the government of Uganda. All those parliamentarians who passed that bill in Uganda, shame on them. They must know that they are going to be killed themselves. One day, with this law, Museveni can wake up and say Bobi Wine is gay. Not because he's gay, but because he's disagreeing with him politically. He just says he's gay. According to law, he must be killed. He's going to use this law to kill his political opponents, and he must be stopped, and he must be stopped now. So, fighters, there is nothing that we are doing that is anti-African. African means allowing everybody in Africa to be who they are without passing judgment. We are not less Africans by supporting our own children, by supporting our own brothers and sisters. We are standing here and we are proud Africans. Don't make Africanism look like barbarism. It's not the same. To be an African doesn't mean to be a barbarian. And therefore, If you are a barbarian, Museveni, leave us out of your stupidity. We are not part of that. We are Africans and we are with the LGBTQI plus community. And we are proud Africans. And we are not ashamed of being Africans. And we are standing here in front of the Ugandan embassy, our embassy. Because anything African is us. Don't make this place smell of blood of innocent people. We want to stop you before you make shame of yourself. We are Ugandan. We identify with Ugandans. We are not of politicians. We are not bought by politicians. We'll never be bought by politicians. We are hand in hand with the people of Uganda, because gathered here today are proud Ugandans. Warat arinyagi permission ya how. We are Ugandans and we are gay and we are proud. If in it's none of our problems. So comrades, without any waste of time, I'm going to give the TG to read the memorandum. The national chair is here, the DSG is here. The national chair can't climb this thing. She says her knee is giving her problems. That's why you see our Treasurer General being the one who's going to read the memorandum in front of the chair, because she was hurt during the fight in Parliament. They injured her knee. Those guys there in Parliament, if they can't get us men, they go look for women and beat up women. The cowardice government of Ramaphosa, who's a friend of Museveni, they are the same uncleists. They all sell uncle and make uncle look like it's an expensive taste meat. There's nothing special about uncle. They are using it to clean money. That's what they are doing, these two. Sbara le Sbara. Museveni was here to collect cash. He went back from sofas. I won't be shocked if there are sofas there in Uganda, because they are Ramaphosa, Museveni, one WhatsApp group. Over to you, TG.
Economic Freedom Fighters Memorandum to the Ugandan Embassy, Tuesday, 4 April 2023. The Economic Freedom Fighters is a radical and militant economic emancipation movement that brings together revolutionary, fearless, radical and militant activists, workers' movements, non-governmental organizations, community-based organizations, and lobby groups under the umbrella of pursuing the struggle for economic emancipation. The EFF, as a protest movement with an internationalist outlook and an unwavering commitment to the marginalized and oppressed groups of people, vehemently opposes patriarchy, sexism, homophobia, and any other discriminatory practices that promote the oppression of any individual. The EFF is against the oppression of any individual based on their gender expression, or sexual orientation, meaning that we are against patriarchy, sexism, and homophobia in all its manifestations. The EFF is also against tribalism and religious and cultural intolerance. We oppose any cultural or religious practices that promote the oppression of any individual, especially groups that have been historically oppressed by such practices. Understanding this, the Economic Freedom Fighters, therefore, renders concern and rejection over the inhuman anti-homosexuality bill that was passed by the Ugandan Parliament on the 21st of March 2023. The anti-homosexuality bill will see the outlawing of same-sex relationships and the criminalization of persons who identify as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, which is LGBTQI plus community. Moreover, this bill further emboldens the stigma against the LGBTQI plus community and persons, which results in vicious crimes against innocent people and the victimization of family members or persons who assimilate into the LGBTQI community in Uganda. Africa has no place for religious fundamentalism, as well as the preservation of colonial laws that seek to control the sex lives of black people and instill feelings of hatred and intolerance over sexual orientation. The historical evidence of the lives our people have lived pays homage to the diverse lifestyles our people lived pre-colonization. It is thus a false argument to claim African tradition or culture to preserve the hatred of fellow Africans based on their gender performance and sexual orientation. Life imprisonment and death penalties should never be the adequate responses to people's interpersonal lives. To this effect, the Economic Freedom Fighters request that the following be attended to by President Yoweri Museveni and the Parliament of Uganda with the urgency it deserves. The Economic Freedom Fighters urges President Museveni to not sign the irrational anti-homosexuality bill which was adopted by the Ugandan Parliament on the 21st of March 2023. The Ugandan Parliament must embark on an educational tour that will see the elected leaders educated on matters pertaining to gender and sexuality, with a historical context that will highlight the colonial tenets of how homophobia and misogyny are rooted in racism and capitalism. That the Parliament of Uganda and President Museveni upholds all international and African statutes that seek to protect the human rights of LGBTQI+ persons that Uganda has in the past supported through being signatories. The EFF further calls for an end to harmful rhetoric against persons identified as LGBTQI in Uganda and across the continent. Harmful rhetoric results in intolerance and physical violence being purported against innocent individuals. Persons associated to the LGBTQI community face tremendous stigma as a result of their relation thereof. Freedoms of association should never be threatened, especially on the basis of homophobic hatred. The government of Uganda must aggressively engage in public awareness and communication strategies, as well as on training interventions aimed at or directed towards positively changing norms which declare LGBTQI+ sexual preferences as abnormal. The Parliament of Uganda ought to further amend all relevant existing legislation to include harsher minimum sentences for corrective rapes, specifically, or crimes committed with hatred as motivation in general. When homophobia is the basis for hatred and intolerance, it is only a matter of time for women and children to suffer the same consequences at the hands of patriarchal violence. The Parliament of Uganda should ensure that legislation pertaining to the alteration of sex description be formulated without delay to accommodate transgender persons. Moreover, harsh repercussions should be imminent for discriminatory practices against the LGBTQI and their associates in the workplace, communities, schools, and other public spaces. Lastly, the Parliament of Uganda ought to reject all forms of state-sanctioned abuse of basic human rights and the blatant disregard of dignity and the right to life as the basic tenets of all human beings, including the LGBTQI community. In essence, the EFF pleads with the government of Uganda to condemn and disassociate itself with anti-human rights practices and sentiments that endanger our lives, our people's lives. Numerous Ugandans who identify as LGBTQI+ and have in the past publicly fought for the realization of basic human rights of the LGBTQI+ community in Uganda and in the diaspora are forced to no longer call Uganda their home. That is a fundamental tragedy that the government of Uganda should reject with the contempt it deserves. If there's one place anyone should be who they are with no shame, that place is called home. Uganda, like the rest of the continent, is home to all Africans and in particular Ugandans. The right to self-identify as LGBTQI+ and freely associate with other persons should be a norm in society. The EFF encourages the people of Uganda and President Museveni to reject all historical abominations like colonization by rejecting to hate an African on the basis of their sexual orientation or gender. The above-mentioned demands are made in honor of Brian Waswa and the over 7 homosexual men and transgender women who were slain in homophobic attacks in October 2019. This after demanding members of the LGBTQI+ community facing physical violence, harassment, and prejudice in getting jobs, renting houses, or seeking medical care. We therefore hand over this memorandum to the High Commissioner
But if you want to jump, Jen.
I'm saying him on your behalf. So don't worry, they are going to acknowledge the memorandum. Over to you, General.
Honorable Julius Malema, the leader of the EFF, I am here to say, one, the High Commissioner, Ambassador Paul Amoro, is out of South Africa on official duty. His deputy, Ambassador Kintunyago, is also out of South Africa on official duty. The next on the line of hierarchy at the embassy is myself. I am Major General Fred Tolit Ochiti. I'm the defense attaché or military advisor to the embassy. Honorable Malema Julius, we welcome you to the High Commission. It is only unfortunate that we are gathered on a public road and we may have inconvenienced very many road users. We apologize for that. I wish to welcome you on behalf of Uganda High Commission and the staff of the mission to the High Commission of Uganda. I have had and I've received a copy of your memorandum. My duty here is not to respond to them. It's simply to receive. We promise we'll pass your memorandum to the authority responsible for your concern. With that, I wish you all a safe journey back to your destination. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, General. Amandla! Amandla! Thank you very much, Major General. You are released. We really appreciate you coming out to receive our memorandum. Thank you very much. Amandla, fighters, like Major General said, as we go home, let's be very peaceful. The way we came, I think the organizers will bring closer the means of transport. Please look after each other, especially the females. If it happens you arrive late, make sure they arrive home safe. Arriving home safe means you must stand there until she switches on the light. You don't say, no, she's in and then you leave. You know we have our own problems here. We must not try to become better than Uganda. Because there are lots of rapists who have taken over our streets and our homes and our churches, workplace, schools. So wherever we can find an opportunity to make sure that we all arrive home safe, please do that. Those who use their own money, their own transport, we really appreciate you and we really are grateful that you took your own initiative. All organizations that are here, thank you very much. You don't have to support the EFF, you support the cause. If the cause is the same, we don't care who's raising it. The truth will always remain the truth. And that's what we are. These people who go around saying they want to bring God to schools, there is no longer God in schools. They are effectively saying they don't want the LGBTQI plus people in the schools. Anyone who says to you, there is no longer God in school, there is a problem, the children no longer pray, that is not the real story. The real story is that the children have become gays. We are going to remove gays in our schools. That's what they are saying when they say we are going to bring God into the schools. Who are they to bring God? Because we all go around with our own God. God is there with us. He doesn't need some ex-prisoner or a failed business person to bring God to schools. We've got God as we walk like this. We are here with God, and they are not here. They are not messengers or people who are going to deliver God. They are homophobic, and they hide behind God. So be careful of those thugs. Every time they say, no, we want to bring God into schools, you must know those people are homophobic, and they are using God to do wrong things. So let God protect you after doing Lord's work today. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I'm a king, yes, I'm a king. I'm a king.